Right, Ed? It is 6:30 and welcome everybody to the May the 13th meeting of the Energy Committee. We have all of the members here and Melinda is keeping us in control. So we'll open it to public comment. There is nobody in the room and there's no one online. Is that correct? No, it's all right. So there's no public comment. Approval of the minutes of March 11th. Oh, that's not consistent. We primarily had a presentation from Efficiency Vermont on energy resilience planning. The review of that here. And we were coming up on the Green Fair, which we're talking again in a post-mortem on it.
I thought I was very confused. The title at the top. This is actually the minutes for the meeting of April 8th, not March 11th.
Okay, this.
Yeah.
Oh, you approved of Hampshire.
We approved them.
You're right.
We approved the minutes of March 11th. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the 8th, yes. A brief discussion about the library reconsideration. The notes on legislative updates, including Energy Navigators, Port Solar, and Act 181. And talked about window dressers. And other topics that we will be discussing. Well, the Observer article was published and we'll have to come up with a new one for this month. I believe we're talking about the geothermal tonight and the recharging station. Any comments, corrections? No. Was good. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of April 8th as presented? I'll move to second. Second. All right, all in favor of adopting, say aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Okay, thank you. Okay, we had a presentation from Efficiency Vermont on resilience planning and next steps. There's a couple of links here.
Yeah, so this is gonna be way small for you all to read. Hopefully maybe some of you looked at it beforehand. I can't really make it bigger because of the controls here on Zoom are in the way.
So down near the bottom,
yeah,
it says eligibility. Let's write at the eligibility requirements.
Yeah,
and it says your business.
Yeah, I did mention that to them. I said, you know, I read it over and I had some questions about this agreement. And I mentioned, right now it just says you have to be a registered business, and are you gonna like use that language to include, you know, municipalities? And they said yes, they would be. But
okay, and then it said that it would apply to not the town at large. It would be just the municipality, the buildings that are owned by the town
and possibly only certain buildings. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when she gave the presentation, she said, you know, you might want to focus on one building at a time and like start with one building and then, you know, move to another building, or I got the impression that it was pretty low key.
It's a plan for resilience, not,
yes,
not an implementation.
It's basically measuring like energy usage and certain metrics to determine like your level of resiliency currently, and then they I guess they make recommendations, which you can choose to implement or not. Is my understanding, is that your understanding?
Yeah, there's no implementation funding on the way because it's been either eliminated or just never happened.
So I guess you also have to, you have to install some equipment or basically have an electrician install some measurement equipment. And so I just had some questions about that. I followed up with an email, which doesn't open. Asking questions about like, you know, what kind of equipment is this, how much of a lift is it to install, and got the impression that it wasn't that big a deal.
Just to measure the loads on the building, right? Yeah.
Do we have a town electrician or a town, like
Um,
Justin Public Works can do?
We'd have to hire somebody. They don't have like a licensed electrician on staff. We'd have to hire, but they do have companies or a company that they work with.
I've had that stuff installed out. Super.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, assuming it's the same thing, it's clamps that go around, various circuits in the
Okay.
panel.
Yeah.
I would assume they're doing that plus, like temperature monitoring and whatnot. It would be interesting to see if they have somebody to monitor gas usage, but they probably just pull that from their gas company.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I can tell you about this.
So I guess I don't know if it doesn't really specifically say it, but it's, I mean, you would look at, like if there's an emergency or something like that, you'd want your police, your fire station, and maybe a shelter. Those places, you want those to not, to be the most resilient, so that.
Yeah, anything that's designated as an emergency shelter,
I didn't see that in here.
no. I think they,
Oh, because
Keep
it's
it
a
up.
build, it's a business, it's written toward businesses, so they wouldn't have that, right? Okay.
right, and, you know, I think they are basically like counting on the town to kind of decide, where would be, you know, where you wanna focus.
Mhm.
So that would be a discussion that you guys could have. Like if, you know, one, do you think this is worth pursuing? Given that there's no money for implementation, but, you know, might be worth still seeing what the
Yeah,
recommendations
I
are.
mean, find out whether, if there's vulnerabilities in the system.
Yeah.
Doesn't appear that there are.
Does the town have a resilience plan, a disaster preparation plan?
It
Is
has,
that part of the town plan?
we're required to have a local emergency operations plan.
Okay.
And that gets updated annually, and we also have a hazard mitigation plan as well that gets updated a little less frequently, like every 5 years.
Are those all on the website? You send us out in that link?
They're not available on the website, of course. And I can probably, you know, that's, yeah,
You said,
it would find
you
it,
say that because they're sensitive, or because the website's.
because in my opinion, they are documents that probably ought to be available, at least the hazard mitigation plan. Maybe the local emergency operation plan, maybe not, but.
But those aren't specific to buildings, like that's how
Yeah,
you would respond to like a flood or
Yeah.
fire.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's more of a.
right,
But I assume it's stuff concerning shelters.
Yep.
And other things that we might want to consider. I'm not just interested to like, we look like the resilience piece, like Kevin said,
yeah,
when we get into, when we get into that point, it might be. Like, it would be good to put those two things together and see how they kind of work together.
actually, Speaking of the local emergency operations plan, I thought I saw it on a recent,
It was on a select board
Select
meeting
board.
on last Tuesday,
yeah, so,
but it wasn't, I remember, it wasn't shared because it includes, individual phone numbers for people.
oh, I see, so they didn't share it.
It was. Yeah, but it was not included on the agenda packet.
Okay. Well, at least we have it and, you know, I can at least share the information, but,
Would the hazard mitigation plan refer to things like shelters and others?
It's
Probably
chemical
not.
spills.
yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty all encompassing, but they wouldn't, they just refer to the local emergency operations plan. I don't think they would
Okay.
specify like where the necessarily where the emergency shelters are. But it's easy enough to find out, you know, and I suspect that perhaps the school might be one, and perhaps, the, I don't know, some of the municipal buildings. Right.
With the cybersecurity, you know, like you can
Mhm.
really, you don't need a storm or a flood, you could
Yeah,
bring down everything with cyber.
yeah, that's true, that's true. Yeah, and the hazard mitigation plan also talks about cybersecurity. I mean, they kind of talk about everything. Um, you could think of, you know.
Yeah, maybe that would be cybersecurity would be an important part of resilience nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically,
Yeah.
don't typically share your plans publicly.
You don't share your
So,
plans.
yeah, it's some cybersecurity conflict.
Right,
Yeah.
Tell everybody what you're doing.
yeah. So,
This is energy resilience plan. So. From an energy perspective, so it's not hazard mitigation, it's not flood and famine. What happens if the lights go out?
Which
Yeah,
is,
right.
which happens if we have a flood or.
Well,
storm.
yes.
it's sort of
But-
related,
It's related, but if you look at it from Williston's town perspective, say. These three buildings right in a row here, what would we want to say about them from a resilience perspective? That's what I'm thinking of. What do you plan for? Is that included in some of these other ones, the other plans that we have, the emergency one? Or do we look at this and say, okay, as you know, talking about putting something in that measures the load on the building, and if the power goes off, then how do we recover?
yeah, I think it's pretty different from like the hazard mitigation plan. It's pretty specific to like, yeah, how did she put it? Like, basically lengthening the amount of time that you can go without power, by like implementing certain measures and.
Yeah, like I just know for those, like obviously I don't know what the town of Williston's is, but their plans are very general. But for example, the high school, they've identified that the gym should be a critical load that connected to a standby generator. So
That's
that
cool.
would be like,
Yeah.
that would be the intent, my understanding of this, it's like you're not trying to preserve power of the whole building, you're trying to figure out what's the critical load in each building.
And then, like, you know, the town has a lot of buildings, this won't cover all of them, so it's stuff like that, it's like shelters is an obvious one. But also this,
Police, fire.
yeah, critical town services, which
Yeah.
off the top of all our heads are police and fire, right? But
Mhm.
I don't know, is there a requirement, or like, is there some critical need that any specific office is also open, maybe like having the town clerk open has some?
Yeah.
I just think and again, if we can't see them because they're sensitive to the phone numbers or whatever, that's
Mm.
cool, but like.
I can probably redact.
Or just like summarize, and say, hey, like. We're gonna, at some point, need to make specific recommendations on which buildings, and our recommendations on the buildings, like, given that. Energy resilience has a high correlation to like disaster.
Yeah.
Inverse correlation, right?
Yeah.
It seems like we should prioritize the buildings that are. Most likely need to be prioritized in some kind of like a hazard mitigation.
Yeah.
Right, so we have a solar array that right now this feeds the grid, right, but.
Yeah.
Could it be switched to the critical points during an emergency? And have battery backup in case it's a good question.
Yeah, especially if we have more and more electric vehicles in the town. I get past if you know if there's a power outage for several days, big ice storms, thing, that's a big concern. Well, we can't draw gas, so now we only have so much gas in our vehicle. Sort of the same thing now, we can towards electric vehicles, is, can we keep them charged?
Curious, just with regards to the panels, has there ever been a discussion of long-term storage, putting a battery array? Has that ever come up?
Only like, not amongst town officials, but. Like, I've heard people talk about that. Like.
Nothing official.
Nothing official. I think it's in one of the recommendations in the town plan, in the energy plan in the town, energy chapter, to have solar, site with battery storage and.
Are there generators here?
Yeah,
Are they diesel or gas?
I think I'm not sure whether they're. I guess it's gas, but
Yeah, always need a big tank.
So we need to. Oh, like, is this
well, what
Just
would
a
you,
compliant
what do you see as the next steps in this? What would you like me to do?
I would like an opinion or facts to, so that we can have like a prioritized list of town buildings that we would like to include
Uh-huh.
to go back to efficiency. Yeah, EBT.
What do we get out of this again? It's like a technical assistance feasibility project. So at the end of it, you should have a scope of work that then find money to implement. That's the general intent.
Or point out where you need it, where you have vulnerabilities, so critical. So just knowing that, then you know where to focus. Right. Resilience.
The town doesn't have like a designated emergency management director, it's just like the town.
It would probably be fire chief, I guess. Usually it is.
By default.
Maybe not, so,
Not anyone to him.
but
When there's an emergency.
I guess he knows.
You didn't know. So is that somebody that we would want to engage, we do something like this? Here to have a conversation, sit down,
Perhaps.
come to the meeting and say, hey, the town has X number of buildings and this, we're looking at possibility that, maybe, what in his mind is, what are the most important ones to try? We collect data to prove resilience for what we need to do. Is it the fire station?
Probably.
Because what happens if your town clerk has to move, well, he finds the corner in the fire station, you wouldn't say that, people can work remotely, can move to other locations. Don't necessarily have to be in the office cubicle location where they are today.
Well, it sounds like maybe the first step would be to take a look at the local emergency operations plan. And note where the emergency shelters and emergency operations centers are in town and start with those. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe engage the emergency management director in some kind of prioritization from his opinion. Given those, that list of buildings. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
And then, you know,
I don't think that's to continue the work effort. We haven't made a decision. That might come when you get an actual plan out of the PT or something.
and then, concurrently, engage the town manager and, I think this would be a decision made by him and not involving the select board because it doesn't involve any money at this stage, so. And maybe also the public works director, although he's gonna be retired at the end of July, so I'm sure how much I can engage him in this.
Bruce is retired. There is her.
There will be, right now, they're focusing on filling the police chief, position. So. Anyway.
So we have some key positions open that would be involved in
Yeah,
resilience and recovery.
right, so given that. Perhaps it might be good to wait until those positions are filled, to actually do the. You know, whatever I don't know, the data collection or whatever, or maybe not, I don't know.
Just like data collection can move ahead. It's like the next steps.
Yeah.
Sort of kind of
Right. Okay.
So we don't need a vote for this time.
I think we'll move forward. It's a working, yeah, okay. It's a work effort.
In progress.
Any other thoughts?
Right now.
Do you need things from us?
No, I think. You've given me a job to do, so. I'm doing
Have enough,
it.
don't have enough to do. Yes.
Well, on the total side, in
Yeah,
terms of jobs to do,
yeah,
I was just on my phone going to grab the minutes, and the energy committee staffing information is out of date. So it still lists me as the chair.
okay, all right, fix that.
Oh, you mean on the website, on the town site, yeah.
Not our website, but the town.
We're a little early. Eric, you're next. Yes, and because across the geothermal neighborhood.
Yeah, so, I mean, for folks that don't know, I work at the Montgas. And, I've been tangential to the sort of epic ins and outs of what it's taken to actually make this whole thing. The Vermont Public article on it was pretty good, you know, if you haven't read that already, it's worth a read, it covers quite a bit. It's kind of the basics, but. You know, Vermont Gas, we've been trying to find a geothermal. You know, beta project to do for years at this point. You know, we got really close down in Rutland at the hospital, but the state denied that. And the trick here is to find one that we can use the innovation funds that the state allows us to use. We get a couple $100,000 in ratepayers to use on innovation projects and this sort of thing. So the first iteration of this was like pre-Trump, so finances looked really good, and it was basically a slam dunk. And Champlain Housing Trust was gangbusters, and had the folks that were underwriting it were all for it. And then obviously that got pulled under, so the rebates that you get at the federal level no longer play.
So are you talking about the tax credit for, isn't the tax credit for geothermal still?
Yeah, it's there, but it's not as substantial as because this was a grant funded thing for the Department of Energy, and that I think that's what evaporated.
I see.
And so just generally, this is a project for homes. It's 44 over to multifamily and single family. And it's the Riggs Meadow project, which is in Heinsberg. Sort of on the corner-ish of 116 and CBU Road, you know, just up from Energy Systems.
On that side,
Yeah,
on the street,
on that side of the street.
across from the gas station.
It's if you go there, there's not already a residence crossing the gas station, it would be down 16. So they're gonna put a big development there. I mean, big for Heinsberg, right? And even though gas is there, you know, it runs right along 16, so you know the decision was made between the developers and Vermont Gas to try geothermal here. And so they eventually settled on an approach that made financial sense and allowed us to use the innovation funds. The approach they settled on, basically, they partnered with a company called Dandelion Energy. They're a big geothermal. Their focus is single family homes, new residential development, right? They do some retrofit, but they're doing like thousands of homes in Colorado. But that's all like sprawl new development stuff. So we partnered with them to do the drilling, and so they're going to do the drilling and actually drill the wells, and then some of the equipment installation is gets subbed out. But the idea is to sort of learn enough so that the next project we can potentially do ourselves. And the economics, the way the economics works when it pencils out is the way these projects, and it's a little outside the typical utility model, but basically the biggest comes from these things is drilling the well. So drilling the well, that's going to go into the regulated use. The well asset is going to go into the utilities rate base, and then it'll be owned in perpetuity by Vermont Gas. It'll never go into the homeowners ownership.
So that'd be part of the CapEx. That's how utility gets
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how like
Utilities
you know,
pay.
yeah.
Right.
So the CapEx is, you know, that makes the investor happy. So
Sorry, I'm curious, so Dandelions do the drilling, or are they subconning here locally?
they'll probably subcon it, but it'll be their people sort of watching. I think, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, thanks.
And these are individual wells.
These are individual wells, it's not a network system, and the reason for that is because for single family homogeneous, the network stuff doesn't work as well model wise. You really need like a heterogeneous load to do the network stuff, and you need it fairly compact, apparently. So this first one is going to be individual wells per residence. You know, even like the townhomes that they have a well on either side. You know. But it's pretty slick the way. I mean, they actually do the wells right under the foundation. They drill them before they pour the concrete and come right up into the basement. And then
How many wells per home?
it's one well per home, and then if the multifamily units have several. So the utility ends up owning the well, and then the inside home equipment will service, but or potentially lease that out to the homeowner, but that will eventually roll into the homeowner's possession, right? It's a lease, so they'll own that in home equipment. But all like research in the literature indicates that those geothermal heat pumps, like there's a 30-year lifespan, if not more. You just change the filters, right? Like, that's not like a lot of units. It's in the home, constant temperature. It's not like that. something like a compressor hanging outside. So, the idea is that they, once you install them, maintenance is almost zero. So it's expensive to do, especially because it's the first one. And it works, but it's definitely expensive. You know, if you were a new homeowner and you wanted to, because the homeowner will have to pay a monthly fee to Vermont Gas for the privilege of using the well, right? Like, so, they'll never take ownership of it, just like you never take of a pipeline, right? So, or your electric line. So, it's, if you were doing it as a new homeowner, the cheapest thing to do would be to just roll it into your, if you want to do geothermal, you roll it into your new housing loan, right? And pay it off for 30 years, then you'll own the whole thing. But
That's a fixed charge, not metered.
it's a fixed charge, yeah.
Do you have any idea what it is?
I think it is.
Like more than that, like tens of dollars a month?
I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I can find out. But
You know, Darren, seeing any, like, I know there's some innovation happening in the space, specifically around shallower wells and technology that allows shallower wells to have been.
I mean, whatever they're doing is cutting edge in the sense that they can do it at scale. I don't know that they're necessarily doing the cutting edge stuff.
And the geology there doesn't matter.
It's suitable. They did a site study suitable for the wells. So, and that's like, I think the thing about the geology is that you can still do it anywhere, but you just need more pipes type of thing, which impacts the overall costs. But yeah, so it's an ongoing charge, similar to what you would pay to get gas, but it's a fixed charge.
So you have this field with 40 some odd houses, you have 40 some odd wells, then. Unlike drilling for water, where one well can impact another, there's enough in these deep wells, it's just the constant.
Yeah, I mean, it's a closed loop system, right? So the water, like all mixture, I guess it goes down and comes back up. And, you're not pulling enough energy out of the earth to make run the thing.
As opposed to if you have two artesian wells next to each other,
You're gonna draw.
one person has a great flow and the other one put one in, you can draw off each other, might say that.
Yeah, just the physics of the mass transfer.
Right.
Which is part of why it's a little more steeper cost up front, because it's closed rather than open, so that makes it.
I think that's part of it, and part of it is just the sheer cost of doing the drilling.
Do you know how deep they're going? Just roughly.
I don't know. And they may not know until they get. But this is, the hope is that this model can be applied other places. There's some developers that are really interested in doing this, particularly in places where there are ordinances. But even Shelburne, they've sort of been able to restrict approval by restricting, for certain developments, with a pretext that they'll do a non-gas based system. So even those developments, it's new construction, this will work really well. I mean, the only it's just expensive in this environment, without any really
But it's
federal rebates.
it's expensive up front, but over the long term, is it a cost that,
I think it's definitely it's cheaper than everything except gas. It would be, it's still cheaper to run just gas.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or,
Excellent prices.
I know for the other source, that's the case, but for geothermal?
Yeah, I mean, at least with when you have to pay the utility maintenance charge, that's if you put it all as your mortgage up front, probably would be cheaper. But the upfront cost of the equipment, the drilling is pretty heavy. That's sort of what the modeling indicates. It's just hard to get over that. Doing it the utility model, I sort of defers that.
Makes sense.
So if you were to do this project, not and should and away from the gas lines, but they're using fuel oil.
Yeah.
And it would prove to be, it would have bad. It would
Yeah.
be very, very sensitive.
I think if you, yeah, I think when you compare it to propane or,
Yeah.
you know, especially when you compare it to, because we talked a lot with the developers that did the Hillside project, did the whole electric project in South Burlington
Oh, yeah.
with GMP and they're super enthusiastic about geothermal.
Yeah.
So,
Is that is, you're talking about the one off of Kennedy, right?
yeah,
Is that air source?
the initial one was all air source.
And then
It's-
they put another one in that was GFL.
I think the next one they hope maybe
Okay.
that's phase 2 or 3 or whatever it is, but you know, it's there's other developments that are in the works, but I think that it turns out to be expensive to run and maintain like the air source stuff
Yeah,
for a big house, you know,
Yeah.
type of deal, even if it's well built.
Just out of curiosity. When we talk about places outside of Chittenden County,
Yeah,
if they don't have gas lines today,
right.
you know, any kind of air keep up would be cheaper than say oil or
I think
propane.
so, yeah.
Can how's it work with the state? Can GMP go into any town in the state and do a program like you're doing in Heinsberg, or do you need to have operating authority as like,
GMP doesn't really have the
I don't mean GMP, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Vermont gas. So I believe what we've told the state regulators is that we'll do projects within some number of miles of our existing infrastructure.
Okay.
And then if we wanted to go out to Barry or something like that, we would need to go to that mass, you know, project here, do a project in Springfield. See what they have to say.
When you say go to that, go to the state, like PUC or.
Yeah.
PUC.
So they would have to sort of give us a blessing to do that. And I think it's hard to run a utility statewide, you know, I mean, unless you have the statewide. You know, if there's we do 24-hour service, so technicians live in our service territory, so you've got to roll a van to Barry or Springfield from here.
Yeah.
You know, so we're just routine service. I mean, I think the technology is different though, so you know, from a utility perspective, maybe you should be approaching it the same way. Because everybody, I mean, it's not the geothermal stuff is not new technology. You know, it's been in place for decades, right? So like, there's pretty good data on how well it runs, and it runs really well. You know,
The Glazer property, that ship has sailed, right, as far as. I mean, even from the perspective of the work we did last year on the. Here we called it. Like the clean heating,
yeah,
the town, like Glazer's under construction now, right?
they are, well, they're building the road, the roads, so. I don't know, I mean. But. I think, I mean, when we talked with Morgan Hood and Richard Donnelly and they were saying like, you know, we would consider supporting a project in Williston if it was like something that we haven't done yet, you know, like they were supportive of say if the municipal buildings ever wanted to do geothermal or, you know, I think even the library.
Mhm.
Although they were a little bit, you know, Richard Donnelly was a little bit wary because that has like an existing heating system that they're, you know, is gonna be retrofitted, so it adds like additional complicating factors, but do you think it'd be in the realm of possibility to maybe have like a study done over there?
At
At the library?
the library. I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, I can ask.
Yeah.
Morgan's going to ask. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, a lot of the retrofit commercial building stuff. You know, like there's really cool like rooftop mounted hybrid units now that like it's all containerized and you run a heat pump and a gas
Yeah.
boiler all
They
in one.
They They just put one in the police station. where they're
Yeah.
Going to,
It'll cut over, you know, and you can drop your consumption 70%.
yeah,
Tune it away, you know, and, you know, those like bang for the buck in terms of decarbonizing. I mean, those things like they bolt on. You know. It's harder to do the retrofits with the geothermal. If it's, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, with regard to the library, I know that's one of the things we're doing on that subcommittee, right? Is looking at the thermal energy network
Mhm.
possibility
Yeah.
for this area right down here, but then also thinking about geothermal as an option for the library and retrofit. Depending on the vote, you know, things go,
Right.
but I think that's an idea. Has anybody contacted BGS about library as far as energy systems at all, or?
No, you know, I ran it by Richard. You know, you know, they're always game to try. It's hard to, sometimes it's hard to sort of get the economics and the regulation to work.
Mhm.
You know, it's a tight, sometimes it's a narrow pass to get through.
Yeah.
And they've been running at this one in Heinsberg for years. You know,
Yeah.
and it's been up and down with all the changes and everything. So,
Mhm.
but I mean, the hope is once you got one,
Yeah.
more will follow. You know, there's quite a few sort of big developments. You know, because the geothermal is here, it's your heat and cooling. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
you don't need a secondary heat pump to do your cooling. You just have the one thing, it just
Right.
works. So I mean, it's pretty compelling.
We took a field trip as part of that subcommittee on Friday. We went to the Shelburne Barns to this coach barn. Did you all have anything to do with that one?
No.
Yeah, so geothermal, about a third, maybe half of the building so far was a huge retrofit, millions of dollars. They retrofitted everything. But part of that was starting to switch over from an oil boiler into a geo. So they're trying on about a third of the building first to see how it works out. And so far, they're very pleased.
Yeah.
Didn't know if y'all had any with that now.
No, I think I've heard about it, but that's the extent of it.
But that was up because it was a retrofit. They had the money to do it, but on
Yeah.
a lot, you know, historic buildings, so it's tremendously challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a significant kind of investment. To make that investment.
Any idea, last question, just for me, anyway, I'm curious, cost per well, roughly, any idea what they're running?
No, but you know, you can find that out. But their estimates.
Curious,
Yeah.
compared with what Shelburne was spending for the barn.
Yeah.
Versus what's costing for a new build, you know, just see how that pencils out too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know at scale, Dandelion tried retrofits for a number of years.
Yeah.
They couldn't really make it work.
Mhm.
They sort of settled on, and they looked at network too, but they settled on, you know, for maximum growth.
Yeah, new build out.
Both companies, like new construction.
It's
is the way to go. And that's like for us too. You know, this is the best pilot project. It's got
Greenfield, brownfield, yeah, starting from scratch.
So I think tougher things will come later.
Right.
Interestingly, it's a quick blip on the TV news the other day about Burlington High School getting ready to open, and
Oh, yeah.
they had a big aerial picture of it. They said, "Oh, it's all electric and geothermal." And I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. And so they, you know, were able to get that to the city of Burlington as a. I'd like to hear more about that one too.
Yeah,
The word was all 30 seconds on
I
CNN.
think they're gonna start having public tours
Yeah.
at some point. I would think at some point this spring.
That's what they're talking about.
Yeah,
That's right, you live,
I live right there, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're right there on the lake. I wonder if they have the wells on it.
Huh.
That's what Hula did. They already
Yeah.
had wells there. So they have it's not it's an open loop system. But the water's plentiful, obviously, and someone had already done the wells. We had a company, the oven company.
Hmm.
wells for some other purpose, lodgets, they reuse them.
When you say
Oh,
wells,
that's
you mean like
interesting.
the wells they're using for water. Drinking water.
It's
No,
it's
it's-
a thermal exchange, right?
Yeah, no, the wells are using for thermal exchange, it's
But what, you said the
Were they
wells
used
already there,
before?
what were they for?
I don't know, but they were for something Blodgett was using before at some point.
Huh.
It might have been initially for water before they were connected to town water. or something
Okay.
like that, but
Interesting.
There were enough that to pump it down one and then pull it out of the other, and cause you're close to the lake, you don't have to draw down, right? Works for now.
Works
They
for
have a
the
gas, they have a gas meter, but it's like run the kitchen. You know.
Literally them.
But it's more of these around than you think.
Yeah, police station, and you look at like, you go up to like places that have a lot of money like Stowe, there's a lot of geothermal systems I've been scared. Well, just big types of investments.
Interesting, doing one well per house. It's, you would. Get contractors to think about that, just part of the construction, you know, and then as opposed to. All the developments around here, which are this town, are just bring the gas line in.
Right. But as you're saying, if you rolled into your mortgage for the initial purchase, right?
Yeah,
it's
it's
a way to
good.
trade it much more palatable.
Yeah, and then it's yours at the end.
Right.
Right.
I mean, the only thing that going the utility route, you know, if your well does fail, like the gas company's on the hook to drill a new one,
Mm,
right?
Right.
So you got that.
Yeah, that's.
And I guess that does happen.
I think especially in closed system.
Yeah, I think it would be
Right.
very.
Yeah, close it.
If it's not drawing the water, then you're just.
Right, exactly, you gotta get like a kind of like sediment.
Interesting, thank you.
That was great.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah, PSC net metering, have been.
So that, some of this one might be a moot point.
It's kind of a moot point, but I actually think there's, I don't know, in my opinion, I think there's some nuance to it. That I like, if anybody read the link document, basically, like that was the recommendations of Vermont Public Service, and so I don't know, I don't know, I think there's some nuance to it and might be worth discussing. I don't know.
So the recommendation. Okay, if I'm remembering was. You know, as of August, they would freeze the net metering. Rate, so the net metering rate in Vermont is the same as the. Like the per kilowatt hour cost, right, so you pay 21 cents per kilowatt hour, your net metering rate is 21 cents. I think that you find out more about this, but like they're gonna freeze it for 2 years, right, at least 2
Right.
years, there's like maybe there'd be a reconsideration in 2 years,
Yeah.
that part was unclear.
2 years is the rule. Every 2 years.
That's our 2 years.
They're not gonna remember that they're gonna keep
But
it.
now,
paying.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're throwing away the rule. It says you have to increase it every 2 years.
So if it is, I forget, like with. In here in town, like 22 cents per kilowatt hour. If that goes up to 25 cents, the net metering rate stays at 21.
Right.
So
Right.
that sounds like you said they got a lot of feedback about it.
Most overwhelmingly negative feedback, for doing that. Like 600 people wrote, submitted comments saying, you know, don't do that, whatever. So.
Do you have any?
My filing's public, if people wanna read it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective as a utility, it's not a good idea, cause we need regulatory certainty, that's what helps us.
Yeah.
And,
You said not a good idea.
yeah, I filed,
Because it leaves it open to change.
so I don't really, so I'll just be honest, I don't care what the answer is, I just need an answer to implement.
Yeah.
So whatever the PUC decides is what we'll implement, the problem is. For us, every time you change the siding or the wreck adjuster, it's a service fee that we have to pay to our software vendor, which is annoying,
Costs you money.
costs us money. It's not a lot, but it's still money.
Yeah.
And then it impacts the billing and how billing's done. The PUC and the department don't care about any of these downstream effects on the utility. The thing is the blended residential rate gets all kind of goofy. And so what the department and the PUC are trying to do is just keep it stable by messing around with the siting and rec adjusters. And it just makes it more confusing. So people get more confused. The biggest problem I think for the DPS's filing is they want to reopen Rule 5.1, which is the net metering rule. They want to open up the entire rule, which is just a nightmare.
For you say open it up to review and they can change anything they want.
Just throw it away.
They won't be able to throw it away, but yeah, they could. They what they really want to do is the department want to change the blended residential rate to be the PERPA rate, which is like 5 cents. That really gets rid of net metering.
Yeah. Who's pushing it?
That's the Department of Public Service.
Right. Who's pushing it?
Read between the lines, Commissioner.
Commissioner, yeah.
I guess I get it.
We're starting off the evening saying he tried to kill a large solar
Right.
installation. That's how he got the job.
Well, let me rephrase the question again.
Stop.
Politics aside.
Seen as
Who benefits? Who within the state of Vermont benefits from this ruling?
that for net metering solar is impossible to answer. So for Stowe Electric, it's kind of a wash for us in terms of residential customers. It's a zero sum because we're saving money on avoided power supply costs.
Mhm.
We do lose a little bit on the commercial side, just because we have such large commercial arrays. We have 70 kilowatt arrays. Other utilities like WEC have a harder time because they're more distributed. They have a higher per capita. And then I think overall, like if we're bringing down our peak purchases, we're all spending less on power. I think it's incredibly complicated to say that it's either expensive or not expensive.
Right. I guess I was asking like, is GMP for it? Like I'm trying to figure out like who's pushing for this kind of thing. Other than like the
Oil companies.
It's really just like in terms of like net metering, it's really the department, the utilities haven't. I don't know that BGS is involved, but like I would not have filed something with the department saying, please revisit net metering.
Right.
It's just not worth it for me. Because more of the political blowback than anything. And net metering at the end of the day is a financial choice for the customer.
Yeah.
I think reopening the rule is a problem because I've never seen a rule become less complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just be realistic. It's going to become more complicated.
So the argument that they make in the document is that the net metering program is like the most expensive way. It's the it's the most
It's the most
expensive way to reach.
electricity that we have to purchase.
Right, exactly, and so they're saying that the more that net metering increases, the greater the expenses on the overall ratepayers.
So you'd be better off buying
So you'd be better
renewable
off,
energy
right.
in bulk from somewhere else
Yeah,
rather than a bunch of
Essentially, that's their argument.
customers raise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean,
I think it's a lot more complicated than that.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to buy the cheapest power, you buy CBRO, but we know what
yeah.
nuclear is thought of in the States. So I think it's very complicated,
Mhm.
and it's not simple enough to say, net meter is more expensive.
I mean, I've heard Kara talk about their cost worries and that it's like,
who?
Kara Johnson, the GC commissioner, like that's one of their biggest concerns is that electricity will be cost prohibitive.
If
And Yeah, and that discourages people from,
It will be cost prohibitive if.
Well, with no, you know, if you're not building large scale generation, you know, in the region, whether it's, you know, the offshore stuff that didn't happen.
Right.
Quebec's tapped out, you know, so,
Because of that.
you know, their projections are pretty ugly. Like you said.
Is this largely because of the response to data centers and AI?
Thing is funny, but
Secular.
electricity's too expensive in New England, no one's gonna build a data center. Sure, it's shit not gonna build one. Boy, it's expensive. So all that's a moot point, you know. It's the fact that down south, they do their peak load on natural gas that they bring in via LNG tanker. You know, you couldn't get a more expensive way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So they're worried that, you know, because everything shifts around, right? So maybe this is one of the ways that they think they can make it a little
But
cheaper.
the concern, like you said, the concern is meeting load, right? It discourages people from putting panels on.
Yeah, it's a little backwards, right? Because you could keep that load into your home and charge your car, you know, and run your
Well,
electric.
if you look at, you know, I know that.
Use your overall peak demand, right?
ISO New England, when they report out, and the other probably do full up, when ISO New England reports out, when you go to their site, like the graphs, they show avoided, I guess avoided load or avoided generation. They show
With solar and without.
estimated behind the meter, right? It's significant.
I think one of the problems I thought that I understood from that, this is, one of the problems is when you're having that excess generation and it's far away from where it's needed, then it's, you know,
Right.
just adding strain on the grid and not like being used.
Yeah, they talk about that. I think it's, but yeah, well, the Shia is constrained with mainly the wind projects. I mean, I guess we're a little off topic, but I think if you're looking at Stowe, we have a 1 megawatt solar array. So if you're worried about that producing in the middle of the day where there's low load, yeah, that's not a very useful asset. But if there's like 5 kilowatts of solar on your roof and you have battery storage and you can control that load, I mean, it's an innovation and technology problem more than anything. I don't think it's as simple enough to say. I don't personally think, and I'm a utility, I don't personally think residential solar is killing the electric. 70% of our costs are from ISO New England transmission. Yeah, 70% of our costs are power supply.
And on those summer days, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a super hot July day, like I walked ISO New England, like the maps, right? And the price is insane. Right.
Yeah.
And so that when we say that like solar, rooftop solar is the most expensive.
Well, it's the most expensive that we can procure because we're required to
Right.
at the blended residential rate.
Maybe on average throughout the year. But it's
You're saying
when you consider like peak load times, what you're buying from ISO New England has to be more expensive than.
Well, I mean, it's really complicated because our open position is 5%. So I don't know what 5% of my load on a peak day is. You're right, but and then so is winter peaking utility because of snowmaking. So like I don't understand what the shit I say, but it's like it's very complicated.
I never considered snowmaking this winter.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Makes
yeah.
perfect sense.
Year, we peak at around 20 megawatts. Right now, it's probably like 6 megawatts our load.
Wow.
So it's that significant.
Unfortunately, there's not any like large situation that would require more snowmaking in the future.
Yeah.
Sure. Hopefully, they can go up to 25 megawatts if they need to, but they're not going to pay for it because yeah. So
Anyway,
You're not gonna have snow if we don't have the sun. You have the solar panels and the snow and sometimes.
All right, so quite a good discussion, I guess.
there's still people are still filing in the docket. You know, I don't know what the PUC will do with it, but there are still fine.
Yeah,
Oh, so we can still submit individual comments as well?
I can't imagine that PUC will care what you say, but they certainly won't reject it.
Since the ones that came in,
They don't listen to anything I.
So, so let me ask again, who are they listening to?
My opinion that's on record, GMP. GMP moves the meter, and maybe a little BGS. But it's mostly GMP.
no,
Interesting.
Hmm.
Thanks.
okay,
Thank you all. Good discussion. All right, a lower key topic, Williston Green Fair review and suggestions. So, I thought it went over very well. What had been started out as a green update thing, had grown with some other vendors from the town perspective, and then take our energy fair, smaller scale, and pull it all together. I thought the number of vendors, the variety that came out was good, and the number of people who showed up after it got moving was
Yeah.
quite good. Very
I
good.
heard some, said 20 or 30 people, it was rest of it was all vendors.
no.
Wait.
We stopped in at Wilson.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it.
There's a lot of traffic, yeah, especially.
The first bit was, everybody got set up and vendors were talking to each other and stuff. And then everybody kind of went to their tables, and then you started to see an influx of, couples and families and kids and
It's like
bringing things
Between
in.
10 and
Yeah, it was really, for basically a 3-hour event, it was pretty good.
yeah.
And then another crappy day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a whole crappy day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna come and join the Wilson the Move people and bring my wife and I's electric bikes. Really nice. But she was, it's gonna be a crappy day. And we're gonna have like 2 people show up, we're gonna go home a day early. So we did.
On those crappy days is when you get the most engagement, because people they don't have anything else to do. They come to the tent, they eat, they drink coffee,
Yeah.
they gather some
But
swag.
we're also meeting with the people out in the cold too, in their
Yeah.
tents too, so
Yeah.
I was kind of milling around a lot. Because we were well stuck with things, so I was talking to people and asking how they're going, and they were pleased with the turnout. All the different groups were happy with what they saw.
The only thing to do different next year if we do this is park the EVs on the other side of the,
Yes.
because the fire trucks
Pulled in.
pulled in.
So we had to van
And
that's in the town. So there's a lowest number of EVs we've earned. Yes, and we got blocked. It did go on. But we really didn't have any advertising of what our 3 vehicles were.
But even so, even they just parked there, we had, I say, 2 EV tours.
Yeah.
Right, we had, there was
Yeah.
one, person
Yeah,
we talked to.
mother and son, they were very interested, so we walked down the line, looking at the different
Oh,
ones
cool.
talking about it.
Yeah.
And they sound like they're gonna go to the CarMax next.
Uh-huh.
So it's good.
And then I had some kind of running in the tent saying, Kevin, come out, talk about an EV, and some else wanted to talk about it, so yeah, I mean, I work, it was not cheap, but it's more than we're gonna have.
There, if you want to grab.
Yeah, well, I think you got,
I did.
Yeah.
I threw some sun in there.
And if there's ever a time for good EV advertisement, it's now, plus used EVs are really a good deal right now, so.
yeah, the price is going up,
Unused,
that is,
yeah,
I mean, supply and demand, so,
right,
yeah.
The last 30
My
minutes.
company does. Parent company, I guess, public publishes one of the industry's, I guess, best regarded monthly reports on, I'll send the latest copy to you all, but yes, used EV sales are absolutely booming.
Okay.
We own Kelly Blue Book, I think most people know, right? And, we own Auto Trader, and we also own Manheim Auctions, which is the largest auto auction in the country, so. And then with all the other properties, like the businesses we own, almost every transaction in the industry goes through us in some way or another. So like we've got all this information that they use to do these really insightful like monthly reports, and new EV sales are down. Surprisingly, all the incentives have gone away, but they haven't like totally cratered. Right? They're still selling, but the used EV sales are way up. And the used EV prices have started to come up.
There's a lot of them coming available off.
There's a lot of yeah. It's interesting, prices going up, which means more people are, even with more new ones coming in, the demand is still high enough to account for that demand, so they're so high. Because otherwise they'll lose off these vehicles would have totally destroyed the prices. I mean, but I could have lowered the prices.
What about the time? Cause like if you go to like a ski area or something like that, or something that, it's like. The crowd really likes to get there at 10 or 11 or just starting, and then like 2 or 3 is probably when you peak, and you're shutting down like at 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's driven by green up days still. They're trying to get people.
They want to get people out.
And they got the green up packs, people that do green up.
Is that
years.
where most people do it?
It's in the morning, they get out as a family and they get out
On the day.
and now green up is turning into green up week. You know,
Yeah,
I'm starting
yeah,
to see
it's
it. I mean, I did my own on Friday because I had to be there Saturday, but and then you drive around by noon Saturday, the roads are covered with green bags and you don't see an influx of those from 1 to 5 that afternoon. You know, most people are done. It's like it's a public get together for Saturday morning. That's
Yeah.
what it is. And I think that's the reason that's what's driving the fair,
Yeah.
and then people go out and do their other stuff for the rest of Saturday.
Yeah, like it's definitely, the participation has increased year after year, and this year we ordered 800 bags, and I think we gave all but 50 away. So, it's a lot.
Generally speaking, I mean, having done a lot of these,
Yeah.
8 years, I guess. The overall, this is the case every time. The overall familiarity that people have with the stuff we're talking about is going up and up, right? And you're seeing more people who are looking into heat pumps or already installed one, thinking about installing more, right? Or they've been shopping EVs and they know more and more. So like having just interesting as we think about our outreach and what we target, like the maturity of, what's the right word, like the overall level of knowledge about these cleaner energy solutions is going up and up, right? And people are getting into more, I guess you'd probably say lower in the funnel, like they're getting closer to making decisions, and so maybe a change kind of a direction we want to go.
But I was so amazed that I talked to people who we've got boxes of outlet foam fillers, and we're thrilled to get one of those. Stuff the thing in front of them, little things like that.
Taking that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people were still really, and I talked to who spoke to us last week, Emily from EVT, because she ran their table, and she had all this kind of stuff and little wool balls you throw in your dryer and this, and she said people were just saying, hey, I can use that in my house, some little thing,
One suggestion for us, I have like 5 people probably that are like, oh, I need to put some of the stripping around my windows, and they pick up the rope call, like, well, let's That's fine, like, that's gonna be good. So we have a ton of the road call and no
But
stripping.
we have the plastic,
We have the plastic,
Yeah.
plastic covers,
yeah,
but I think people are looking more for like weather stripping for doors or windows, like, you know, the.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Was it?
well, yeah, I think weather stripping's the word.
And along those lines, window dressers, people got a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And the walk to shop people when their carts got a lot of traffic too, and so those are two. Reasonably priced areas that take you beyond. Just putting coffee
Yeah.
around your window and those things, and people were really just. And we picked up a couple more
Orders.
orders this week for
Yeah.
window dressers.
Cool.
From the Green Fair?
I don't know if they're necessarily from there. Could be related to that, so, we haven't started measuring this year and we've got 7, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you do 5 or 6 windows in somebody's house and 7 orders, you're helping people. And Emily came in and I were interviewed by the public TV group and I watched it. I wasn't embarrassed about it. Going off the top, it actually came out reasonably well.
What channel was it?
It's the
Channel
public,
6? The public- Vermont
CCTV.
yeah.
Oh, CCTV.
Yeah. And actually I thought the way they didn't just, they interviewed us for about 5-10 minutes. But they actually cut the scenes from the show and you hear our voices in the background. They did a better job any than that local station. Which give you 20 seconds of sound. Yeah. And then they interviewed Eric and Kevin from the library, on the library project. So,
Yeah, so.
I'm sure Emily's is she gonna start asking us what we thought, or are we just gonna?
Oh, you mean do the survey?
Yeah, is there a survey from her?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it hasn't gone
Yeah.
out, so maybe I'll talk to her about that.
Yeah.
I know she's not gonna be here tomorrow.
That's our plan. Yeah.
So what was the number that you would put out for, just the people who weren't involved in,
We're participating.
who weren't presenting? How many people showed up?
Oh gosh. I mean, I would say. Cause people were sort of coming in and out. I would say like, I don't know, maybe like 200. So.
The tent was full. At some
Yeah.
points, yeah.
Yeah,
What about 10 tents or 8 tents outside too?
yeah,
Yeah, you were on the top.
You know, 3 times bigger than we usually have.
yeah, for an energy fair. I really do think it's the time of year. Yeah.
But I was in the size of the tent, like.
Oh, the size of the
physical
tent,
tent.
yeah. Yeah, it was much bigger.
Yeah, had a lot more visibility on the road.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The big, banner, right?
So other than weather stripping, any other suggestions from?
Weather stripping was the
Yes.
single biggest thing people
Yeah.
wanted, because they pick up the rope clock, and like, oh, how do I use this? And I explain like that, so. But the people that, a lot
That's
of
too
people,
bad, we have a lot.
we have a lot of people did like the outlet. So
Yeah.
that's in your resume.
The weather stripping, well, the window dresser too, I had a woman come by and take 2. She said I do 2 every year, every time I come by,
Yeah.
so it's kind of a ritual.
Okay.
So, last observer article was prelude to the Green Fair, and so now meeting only once a month. Don't get to harangue you guys about writing. But it is still
Oh my
the
gosh.
4th Thursday of the month it gets published, so that this month would be the 28th. It has to be submitted the morning of the 23rd at the latest.
10 days.
Yeah, we have about 10 days. Does anybody have anything to write 500 to 700 words? Please jump in.
I could do something about idling vehicles. I think I've
Okay.
pitched that to you before.
All right, yes.
So as long as we haven't done that in the last couple of years.
We have never done that.
Oh.
Okay. On what? I had little people sitting there. outside, And
It's gonna be hard to get 500 signals.
Yeah, so much everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't idle. It's just the idle.
I actually once,
Yes.
so was, and complained to someone, you know, it's against the law. I wish I hadn't said.
It's my castle.
Uh,
right up there, they probably secretly.
Speaking of police department vehicles idling, I asked, someone from the police department, I said, hey, so how's the new detective like the EV? And she said, oh, she loves it. And I said, the best features that they can sneak up on people. Yeah.
Not this one, but do you think the police department would be willing to throw some quotes or something else? We've got two electric town vehicles now.
Yeah.
So, you would have them long enough to maybe
Good idea.
put some stuff together. Again, not for May, but maybe that's June or July thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then second question I had. Reed, maybe you have this. Do we have a list, or could we pull together a list of all the articles we've done?
I found enough to go back about 18 months.
Okay, perfect.
Because they dropped from the reserve. Right. Store them, but I do have a list.
I'm just thinking if we have a list, we could go back because a lot of those topics could be reviewed. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Okay.
I went back to the very beginning.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of like recycling every year, but we've got 18, 24 months worth of content. We could definitely go back and see what hasn't been brought up for a while. Make your job easier, not have to come, think of things off the top of your head.
Okay, so we'll do I think this one. Really cool one thing. Thank you. Alright, the last article item is here's a state release for that.
Yeah. I was not getting anywhere on email, so I went up there this morning.
Is that right?
See, I mentioned. So I went up and met with Joseph Hurley, who's the facilities manager up there. He's basically in charge of the building, and he said he was totally open to it. And so I suggested there's a conference room up there where we could have presentations beforehand, and then he said he would be open to a tour of the facility as well. He said there would be some hoops to jump through, but he thought he could get that approved as well, because it is a secure building. So that's as far as I got. He wants me to send him an email, just sort of outlining a proposal.
This one was that.
Right. Going just directly. Not to. So, but so I was just wondering, should I get any input from the TENS group about what they'd like to see or hear there, or I could just put together just a general, because he said he could look up like who the designer of the system was and who the builder was, and maybe get people from those groups to come in and speak, and he might be able to. I said, have there been any problems with it?
That would be amazing, actually.
Yeah,
to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should definitely run by the 10 subcommittee because they're gonna wanna be.
They're gonna meet soon.
Yeah. So if you wanna get some, just an outline to me of what would be some good things, then I can send that to him.
Okay.
Cause he needs to run it up the flagpole to get permission, but he wants an outline. And what was I just gonna say? Train of thought.
I read your emails when you send them.
Thanks for the comments.
Send the citation.
Yeah. No, I asked him before we go are there any major problems with it? Or anything? Said it's running fine, just they get some error messages from the heat pumps or something, but it's nothing. Okay, nothing major. It's gonna like blow up in our face and make it look like. That's.
I had one topic, if I can throw a topic out, but not even a topic, a request for information. Have you heard anything, Melinda, about the investigation into the bus fire?
I haven't heard
Has
anything.
that been closed out? I know that there was like, the state was doing an investigation.
Yeah.
CBU was doing an investigation, the insurance company was doing one.
I haven't heard anything. Yeah.
Is that something you can post?
Wild.
Came out, the operations,
Yeah.
COO, whoever.
All the,
Of CDSD.
Yeah,
I mean, I could ask, I guess. Gary Marcus.
Gary, yeah.
Yeah. I could ask.
I'm just wondering if there's anything.
Yeah.
it's all the EVs out, everywhere. China's filled with them. It's
Well, it was,
so few, I mean, it's a city, so I guess floods.
Yeah.
Mhm.
the night it happened, I was at home, I heard an explosion, I was on a late night meeting at work. It must have been one of the tires, like exploded or something. And then, the next morning I saw the thing, I took the picture and immediately sent, I work in the battery industry, I sent it to the engineering team that I work with, the physical engineering team. And they came back and they're like, it was definitely one of the mechanical, it was a mechanical failure under the hood.
Oh, really?
Mechanical / electrical failure under the hood.
They could tell that just from looking at.
But yeah, because the batteries obviously didn't go off, the batteries weren't involved. Because they put it out within 5 minutes, you don't put out a battery fire.
Yeah.
Put it in 5 minutes, but a few days later, the article was updated, like CAX or whoever, that the state fire marshal decided it was a mechanical or electrical failure under the hood, right? So same exact thing, but they never, like, there hasn't been it wasn't related to charging, was it like a component that you find in any other, like, there's just a lot of misinformation about it went out right off the bat. And
Yeah.
I just haven't seen any definitive closeout. And one way or the other, it's nice.
Yeah. That might be a future. Yeah. Article.
Once we get it, no.
It would scare a lot of people that EVs are dangerous, and yet here it is, you're saying it's not.
Like the whole thing caught on fire and the battery didn't.
Yeah, the batteries did.
So let's review this. One bus had an event.
And the.
It's spread to 3 other buses, so 4 electric buses.
Yeah.
And if you look at the
That's-
carcasses, it was absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The batteries did not get involved at all. I can also tell you this morning, the battery
That's
industry.
your article right there.
Yeah, that's there we work, especially, so we've got sites where we work on batteries in 4 locations in the country. We have primary sites in Oklahoma City, which is why I'm always out there. And we work closely with some of the local fire departments to do EV battery fire training.
Yeah.
And the word from all the engineers I work with is these things are so hard to get to light off. Like they literally have to drill a hole in it and put an explosive in it
Wow.
to get it to go. It's
Yeah.
the mechanism by which the batteries catch fires, I think, interesting, right? We deal with that a lot. We have, because of the kind of work we do, we get, the manufacturers send us their sick batteries, right? So we do have fires happen, like in our facilities, and we good at like containing them or whatever, because we're dealing with like the worst of the worst, when it comes in. But yeah, you see, like, it's just super unfortunate that the 4 were parked next to each other, all 4 went up, so the headline is 4 electric buses catch on.
Right.
So.
As they always do.
But if you had 1 electric bus and 3 gas fires next to it, they would have all gone up, and then you probably wouldn't have had a gas station explosion.
Can I ask, is parking in like in Pearl Harbor fashion, is that?
I think there was like, they put them that way, because that's what.
They were all back in.
And Restore,
The Reaster had a fire.
and they blaming it on a lithium battery.
Well,
I'm in the back office, right, or something.
All I heard was
Yeah, I saw
The
that.
fire chief said it was started by lithium batteries.
Get ready.
That is neat, huh?
I get ready.
Well, no, I mean, there's cheap equipment. Buses didn't qualify, so.
Yeah, if there is time, turns up the Gary, it might just be. No,
Yeah,
I was just wondering if, as a town committee, if we get any insight into.
Sure.
Not talking like inside, like the secret behind the scenes stuff, but like at some point they're gonna
Yeah.
get a report.
Yeah.
And it might not get published widely, but
right.
if
It'd
it's
be
a
good,
report, you can see it.
it would be good if it got, why, live the clear the air.
Yes, it would be. Yeah, one way or the other,
They can.
we'll talk about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's my topic.
Good, thank you. Any other topics anyone want to add?
I'll just follow up on the Ken's visit that we had just quickly. So it was very informative. This is the one out to the barn, Shelburne Farms, where they've done geothermal. So we're trying to look into, Kevin Fischel and I are doing a little looking into the numbers with the folks who actually did it, just what it's costing them electrically,
Mhm.
open source, closed source, really get the details of how many cubic feet they're trying to heat or condition, and just so we have some sense of that, because they'll be the library down the line. So that should be helpful because they've been running for about a year, I think, almost a year now. They have 4 seasons updated at least to talk about. Very different building, but they'll give us some numbers to think about. In addition, hopefully the state police barracks and others.
Yeah, it's-
Give us a better sense of whether it's worth recommending or with caveats. Down the line.
yeah, I think that's good. That's really good information to have, and
Mhm.
hopefully we'll be able to get information about the police barracks too.
Yeah.
I think like the more information
Right.
that the library can, folks can get, the better.
Agreed.
So, thank you. Anything else? No? 4 minutes to spare. We're adjourned.